Hello and welcome to the Last Looks podcast, a show where we catch up with talented hairstylists and makeup artists in the film and television industry. We'll pick their super creative brains and find out all the good stuff. Join me, your host, Jamie Lee, in finding out what's what in the hair and makeup departments around the world.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Calling all hairstylists and makeup artists. Would you like to have a strong wig knowledge? A solid foundation to build your wig styling skills on? Would you like to gain the respect of your cast, colleagues, and employers when it comes to wig work? And feel more confident in knowing how to handle, style, and apply wigs? Well, do we have a treat for you? Introducing Last Looks Workshops. Come down to Beverly Hills and join Jamie Lee and Rob Pickens in the Last Looks Workshops experience. Spaces are limited, so be sure not to dilly-dally. For more details, visit lastlooksworkshops.com.
And now, our feature presentation.
Today, I'm speaking with Howard Berger, makeup designer and co-founder of K&B Effects Group based in Los Angeles. What did we chat about? Well, I think the question is, what didn't we chat about? Howard has been on an incredible career journey, one most people only dream of. So sit back, relax, or get those walking shoes on, or maybe you're in the car on your way to work. Either way, be sure to enjoy part 2 of a 2-part chat with Howard Berger.
Pictures up.
Last looks. Rolling.
And action.
Now, having worked on, it's a ridiculous amount of fabulous stuff, Howard. Like the IMDb, it's it's pretty amazing. I want to know, what are a couple of your most memorable ones?
Well, IMDb, for starters, is always wrong. It has I have credits that I never worked on, and then there's a shit ton that aren't there, and I'm like, I hate IMDb.
Well, then it balances out. If there's some missing and some that need to be there.
There's usually more missing than there are.
Right.
I didn't work on that movie in 1977. What the hell? I was getting bar mitzvahed. But you know what? We've worked on hundreds and hundreds of movies, and I have to say, probably my most fun films are. I love Army of Darkness. I had the most fun on that, getting to work with Sam Raimi, and I had a magnificent crew, and we worked so hard. That was a blast, and with Bruce Campbell and everything.
Where did you shoot that?
We shot that in beautiful Acton, California, which was like 7 months of nights in the desert.
Oh, shit.
During the summer, hot as hell. We were not too far away from Tippi Hedren's big cat preserve, and so we would hear lions roaring all night long. But it sucked. Tons of bugs everywhere. People, a million puppets. We were puppeteering, doing makeups, getting background in suits, finding out that there were some backgrounds that were having sex while wearing the suits. So we had to get rid of those suits. One guy peed in his suit. It was wonderful. But I was out there with Bob Kurtzman, and then we went and we shot in Hollywood, and Nick Otero joined us when we went to shoot in Hollywood, which is good, on a sound stage. So loved working on Army of Darkness, and I'm very proud of that movie. Loved working on From Dusk Till Dawn, which Greg and I had such a great time and such a great system. Like, Greg would be on set all the time with Robert Rodriguez, and I'd be in the shop, which was our makeup shop, which was right behind the set. And I had like Wayne Toth and Norman Cabrera and Gino Crognoli, and it was really just the four of us doing all the makeups. And we would pump shit out. And Greg was on walkie, I was on walkie, and Greg would then radio and be like, "Okay, Howard, next up, I need 5 vampires and 3 dead bodies and a severed head." And I'm like, "Okay, guys." It was like a short order cook. So Greg would be barking out what he needed. We would be in the back putting it all together, and then we'd send it out. And then Greg's like, "Okay, now we're going to do this." So it was super fun where, I just stayed for the most part in the back room making stuff up. And then Greg was up there, and we would go to set, of course, like, when we were done doing makeups, and then we'd help wrangle everything. But it was super fun. Loved it. Another like 6 weeks in the Titty Twister set in downtown LA during the summer,
Yeah.
sweating like pigs.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really fun, and working with Clooney and Harvey Keitel and
Yeah.
Juliette Lewis
Yeah.
and Robert and Quentin.
I have to tell you, Howard, that I've just had a realization that, I mean, I always knew this, but now I'm actually speaking to somebody who worked on the film.
Mhm.
But I remember watching, was it Full Tilt Boogie?
Oh, yeah. The making of.
That was the moment for me that I was just like, because I was working in the salon, and I always knew that wasn't, I was just like, I can't do this forever. It's going to drive me insane. And I'd kind of thought about fashion stuff and like, how could this keep being interesting for me? And it was watching that and just going, oh my God, I need to be on set. That looks like so much fun. I need to be on a movie set. And I'm just like, in small town New Zealand going, is that even a thing? Can I even do that? But it was watching, everyone make From Dusk Till Dawn on Full Tilt Boogie.
Yeah, it was
just
crazy.
Like, this is amazing.
It was. It was an amazing shoot. Yeah, and it was super fun. And Savini, was in it, so it was fun to hang out with Tom and do his makeup. And yeah, no, it's crazy. My wife said that too. She's like, I saw Full Tilt Boogie, and I was like, who's that guy? He's really cute. And then, and at that time she was, let me think, that was in she was 15 years old. So I didn't marry her when she was 15. Okay. Just so you know. But yeah, it's funny, she's 16 years younger than I am. And I'll think of she'll be like, hey, when did you work on that movie? You were 4.
It's like, never mind.
Yeah. It's like, how old were you when you worked on Day of the Dead? You were 4. How old were you when you worked on, on Dusk Till Dawn? You were 15. So, so Dusk Till Dawn. And then, I loved my all-time favorite movie to work on was Chronicles of Narnia, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. And that was magical because I felt like it truly was very parallel to the book. I got to go through the wardrobe and live in Narnia for a year and a half. And
it's pretty magical.
And then I was king of Narnia, and then I came out and it sucked, and I wanted to go back to Narnia. But we had such a great time, and K&B did such a great job, and we were super busy because Nicotero was doing Sin City and Land of the Dead at the same time.
Oh, far out.
And I remember we were both 12 hours apart, and he was he was shooting in Toronto with George Romero, Land of the Dead. So we would talk to each other every Sunday, and it would be like 12, because they were shooting nights, 12 midnight his time and 12 in the afternoon in New Zealand. And that's the other thing too. I got to go to New Zealand again, and which I love, and it's my all-time favorite country to work in and visit. And I can hardly wait now that they're opening up again. I'm going to plan a trip to go visit everybody.
Oh, you and me both.
Oh God, I love it. I had the most fun ever. Narnia was magical, getting to work with James McAvoy before James was James McAvoy, and got to create all these creatures and these worlds, and really prove that we could do this, that K&B could do this. And Tammy and I had the best time ever. And it was such a great partnership. And it reconnected us. Not that we were out of connection, but she had gone to New Zealand for what was supposed to be 15 months to work on Rings, and stayed 5 years to work on Rings.
Happens to a lot of people.
Yeah. It became a resident and bought a house, in Welly. And then I'm like, well, the only way I'm going to get her is if I do a film in New Zealand. So I called her up. I said, hey, I'm coming to New Zealand, and guess who's going to be on the movie with me? Tammy. And so we did the film together. And then, of course, the movie turned out wonderful and beautiful. And it was the first movie I ever worked on that my children, who were very young at the time, could see and visit the set.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they were in New Zealand for 4 months, the beginning of the shoot during their summer holiday. And that was wonderful. And then, to add gravy to the already amazing experience, you get nominated for an Academy Award and a BAFTA and a bunch of other stuff, and you win it all, and you're just like, holy macaroni. And it's not something we ever thought of. It's not like, all right, this is going to be our Oscar. You never do that. That's stupid to do, and it's not important. It's just nice that something you do is recognized by your peers, and it, even just the nomination is quite amazing. And then to win, you're like, holy crap, this I can't even believe this, but it's a childhood dream though, because I love the Academy Awards and I would watch the Oscars with my dad every year. And it was magical and wonderful and majestic. And then to get to go. And I just kept thinking, because both my parents passed away decades ago. And I just was thinking like, God, if my folks were here, my dad would shit. He wouldn't believe that like his kid is up on stage at the Academy Awards. And I was like, this is crazy. All the shit they endured for me and destroying everything. And to the point where they built something outside. They're like, you need to move outside of the house. And I'm like, oh, I'm okay with that. So like I had a shack outside that was purely for making a mess. And I just lived there pretty much. It was a bittersweet thing not having them here when that happened. But I know that, hopefully they, maybe they know or they don't know. I don't know. But anyhow, it was a childhood dream and it worked out great. So Narnia, I loved working on Hitchcock with Tony Hopkins. That was a blast. And then another gravy situation when I got nominated, which was wonderful. And that was a fun period because Tammy was on the ticket for The Hobbit with Rick Finlander and Peter King. And so it was fun to go through all that with Tam, even though we were on opposite films. Yeah. Ultimately, Les Mis won. It was great. And it was fun to go again. And then I think I really loved working on Oz the Great and Powerful. The movie was more fun to work on than it was to watch. No offense to anybody.
But you're going to Oz. That's,
Yeah.
You're going to be on set and look around and be like, wow.
and I got to be back with Sam Raimi, which I hadn't worked with Sam for a while. And I was super lucky to have Mila Kunis, in my chair. And I had an amazing crew. I was able to bring tons and tons of magnificent people. And Yolanda Tsing was the hair department head, and she had great people. I had great people. Vivian Baker ran the straight makeup department. She had great people. So we really made it special. And what we built as far as like the physical building we took over to build hair and makeup and prosthetics was magical. And it was so fun. And I never got to do that like that before. On Narnia, we had these enormous like tent cities that could have had their own governments. They were so big. And it was crazy. But this was something really amazing. And we had a blast. And we were there for it was like a 9-month shoot, I think.
Yeah, where were you?
In Michigan, in Troy, Michigan, and we never left. We shot on sound stages, so the entire production was all in studio. There was a great facility. It's not there anymore, sadly, because the genius governor at the time decided to kill the tax credit. Right. So even though that movie brought in something like $90 million into the economy in Detroit and Michigan, I guess that doesn't matter. But it was unfortunate because it was a spectacular place. And then I got to work there again when I was doing whatever the last Transformers thing with Mark Wahlberg was. We worked at those studios, and the makeup rooms were all the same. They were all shut down, and all my stuff was piled up. And I found the chair that I made Mila in because it was covered in green paint. And I was like, oh, I should take this back home, But anyhow, it was a great experience. And the movies I picked, what makes them special is not how they turned out. It was the making them. Yeah. They all turned out pretty darn good, but it was the experience that changed my brain and changed my life. And, I learned so much. Another film too was Kill Bill. Kill Bill really changed my brain a lot. And working with Quentin so closely for so long, he just drags the best out of you. He expects only the best, and he's wonderful and brilliant on every level, and I admire him beyond belief, and I think he's a great filmmaker, and he really pushed me and my crew, which were just two people, Jake McKinnon and Christopher Nelson, to the brink of like exhaustion. But every day we went home, of course, covered in blood.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, he does like his blood.
Oh boy, we used a lot of blood on that one. And we walked home, bloodied, leaving bloody footprints on the marble floors in Beijing of the hotel, and going, boy, that was a great day. That was a really super, super fun day, and just exhausted, but we knew we were doing something super cool and doing it for Quentin. And you know things are successful when you hear his cackle behind the camera, uncontrollable laughing, and you're like, I think we've succeeded on this one. So, but those are films that are very, very dear to me and mean the world to me. I mean, I've had great experience. I was very lucky to work with Seth Macfarlane on 3 seasons of The Orville. Very, very, very tough, difficult project for a number of reasons, but ultimately Seth is such a great guy and so smart and so inventive and artistic and funny and kind and just really knew how to do it. And I got to employ hundreds of people through those seasons, 706 cool. makeup artists, and we hired a lot of hairdressers, which was great. I feel like at one point, I think I added up like 200 people we had hired on one season overall. And I was very proud of that. And so when I forgot to report something to the union and I got a call, I just said, hey, by the way, I hired 200 members. So
the production office must have been like, more start paperwork? Oh,
yeah.
God.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy. Well, yeah. And I had it literally piled high, and my assistant would before on their first day, because I always set up everybody's station. Everybody gets a name plaque on every show, so they know where they're going. I like to decide where people are sitting, because then I don't get clicks, like, well, let's all sit together. And I'm like, no. You're going to sit over here and you're going to sit over here. And this is how I've arranged it. And then here's all your start paperwork. And then there you go. You're ready. There's no questions. And it works out great. I love the organization aspect of it too. So I feel good about it.
Is that part of your just being a department head?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I find I'm a very organized person. I'm very systematic about things. I have OCD regarding things like that. Like it's got to be like it's got to be like this, and I want it like this. And I have a very specific way. And all my keys are always like, you're not letting me do enough. And I'm like, I got it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I love doing it. I'm not doing it because I'm being a martyr. I'm doing it because I have a specific way I like it done. So, but I make sure it's all, that's why I get there early, get it there an hour early to make sure everybody's good. Or, I always push, if we're going to have a big, like a bullpen day, I really pressure production, and I work with production and like, okay, there's going to be 30 additional makeup and hair. I want these stations set up 2 days before. We need to get everything ready. When they walk in, it's got to be 100%. If it's not any of this like bullshit I've seen where, people walk in, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know where anything is. Their department head hasn't really set up anything, or, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is insane. So I make sure it's 1,000%. I make everybody's name tags, big things that have the logo of the show. And at the end of the show, they can take them home. I've had some people take them home on the first day, and then they come back and they're like, where's my name tag? I'm like, you took it home. So do it again. You're not going to get hired back because you're not allowed to take your name tag till the end of the show. If you take your name tag, that tells me you're done on the show.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'll bring the name tag back. I'm like, yeah, I didn't say take the name tag on your first day, you idiot. So
people will take whatever's not glued down sometimes.
That's for sure. And I've had to make it a really strong point with everybody, because social media, of course, is a huge, huge issue. And I'm like, you are not allowed you do not have permission to post anything about the show or photos. And I said, and when the show comes out, guess what? You're not permitted to post photos. What you can do is you can call me and say, hey, Howard, there's a makeup I did and I'd love to post it. And I said, well, send me a photo. And then I check with the studio, because I have gotten calls from studios where people on my crew have posted without permission, and it becomes an issue. And then I have to call them and go, you better take that down now, or your Fox is going to come after you because you posted an unauthorized photo that puts an actor in uncompromising situation. It might be like an actor in an alien makeup having a cigarette break, and you posted that. And it's like, yeah, that's not very smart. Social media is like a heroin to people. Like they have to post every 5 minutes or they're, going to get the shakes or whatever. And
I know. I have one of my pet peeves is posting continuity photos.
Oh God, worst.
And there are times that, yes, everybody's okayed it, but please put that in the section underneath, the information section, to be like, I have clearance to share this image. Yeah. Because otherwise, those who maybe don't know better and should know better, just scroll through their phones and find continuity photos to post. And it's just like, that actor that you've taken that photo of was under the impression that was for your continuity, that was going to go in a folder somewhere. And that's as far as it was going to go, that you need it to match for the next day, whatever. They don't think that you're
Right.
taking that photo to then post it on social media for the world to see.
Yeah, no, it's serious, and there's been makeup people that should know better that have posted and published continuity photos, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't. That's going to be, and they heard from the studios. It became a huge issue at times, and it's just not smart. And so, yeah, I make it a point, and I said, if you're on location for me and you post, hashtag da 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 da, and I see it, I'm going to be really, really upset.
Yeah.
You do not have the right to post anything. You're an employee of the company, of the studio. I think what people don't understand is when you get your check and you sign the back and you deposit it, that means you agree to the conditions set forth, which is part of your NDA. So you don't have the right to post anything or
we don't own
talk
it.
about
It's not
anything.
yours.
And it's true. You know what? If you want to post away, then don't take the money. Go to set and work for free. And then you have carte blanche. But I don't think too many people want to work for 6 months for free so they can post something on Facebook or Instagram.
Yeah.
It's just people need to be more aware of it and be more conscious of how it affects other people. And then you also get people very upset. Like there was a guy who it's kind of new and he posted something. He did one day on a show we did. He posted a photo and it wasn't very good, and he should have never done it and didn't give credit to the people who worked on it for 9 months and just said, makeup I did on da-da-da-da-da-da. And let me tell you, the firestorm that came on him was not pleasant. And it's so much so that I'll never, ever, ever hire that person ever again. And that was just out of like the heroin aspect of posting, and just not being smart and stopping and going, you know what? I did one day on this. Maybe I shouldn't post this photo. But that person
even
was
people
so
who have
obsessed.
done the whole job. Yeah, I'm a little passive aggressive on social media. Maybe look out,
Yeah.
people, because if I see somebody posting their work, which is beautiful and amazing, but at the same time they don't mention the department head or anything else, I'm just like, the question is normally, who is the designer on this job?
Well, no, it's purely misleading purposefully. And I agree with you. Yeah, there's two things that you can do. If you're working with somebody and you are part of the crew and you get permission to post a photo that you did or post a makeup that you did, you need to put the department head, like, I really, whatever. But what drives me nuts on the other end is when it's basically like the end credits of a ILM, where there's 7,000 people tagged or whatever. And I'm like, oh my Lord, just put the department head. Okay. I don't need to know who did the eyelashes and who, combed the guy's hair and who did. It's like, for God's sakes, guys, I know you're covering your ass, but just put the department head. It's fine. And I did see something rather big that somebody posted recently. And I was really super surprised they didn't tag the department head. And it was a pretty massive show. And it was all common knowledge who the department head was. And I was like, wow, that's a kick in the nuts. And I think that was perhaps on purpose, but unjustifiable. And it was really a wrong thing to do. I just wish people would just stop doing it. I mean, I'm going to get to the point where I'm just going to start not following makeup artists because it drives me nuts half the time, some of the crap that I see posted. And I love Instagram. It's the only social media I'm on because I love photos and I like looking at stuff. But man, sometimes I'm like, guys, you got to be smarter than this. And also, I think you have to remember how you're representing yourself. So productions will review your social media before they hire you. Yeah. And we'll see photos of you out drunk. And we'll see photos of you doing duck lips. Yeah. And we'll see photos of you being inappropriate. And those will make a difference in you being hired. And I wish people would understand that. Like, don't post things you don't want your boss to see or potential boss. And now it's tighter than ever, I mean, if I was going to hire someone and then I saw that all they love to do is party, especially in this post-COVID, it's like, I can't hire that person. I can't trust that person, vaccinated or not. Yeah. Like every photo is them drunk at a bar. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't be irresponsible.
I mean, you're doing everything you can to be responsible.
Yeah. Stop going to bars and getting
somebody
drunk.
Into a trailer who's just like mask off any chance they get.
Yeah. And you got to be careful. So, I mean, people need to be conscious of that. Like what you post on your social media, your boss or potential boss is going to take a look at. So
Yeah.
please
Think before you
refrain.
post, people. Think
Oh my
before you
God,
post.
it's not that hard. Just be like, yeah. Just take photos of of your dog, and just post photos of your damn dog all day long.
I
So
feel
that's
attacked.
fine.
You're talking about me? No.
No, I post photos. I'm not attacking. I'm like, that's a
kidding.
good thing. I post photos of my dog, Alfie, all the time. I'm like, oh, Alfie's so cute. Okay, I'm going to put that up there instead of like, some sort of monster thing. Like, did this back in, the Stone Age on yada, yada, yada. It's like, instead, look, my dog is eating food. He's so cute when he eats. Oh, here he's peeing. Oh, he's so cute. So,
I wanted to circle back to the Academy for a minute.
Uh-huh.
So what made you work towards being on the board of governors for the Academy? And what does that involve?
It involves a lot. It's another job. It is. I love the Academy, and I got into the Academy. Now, here's something. So I won the Academy Award, and I didn't get membership. And that just shows you that because you win an Academy Award, you are not automatically granted membership to the Oscars. So, or to the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science. So it was 3 years after I won the Oscar. Tammy didn't get in either for quite a while. I think I sponsored her a number of years after. And I got in. I love the Academy so much. I love everything about it. I always have. I dreamed of being an Academy member. I felt like at some point I wanted to run for governorship. And I had a couple other times and I didn't get voted in, but I knew my time would come. And it did. I'm at the tail end of my first term. Each term is 3 years.
Okay.
And then I'll look forward to hopefully being reelected so I can do another 3 years. But it has been amazing experience. And it's not a job. You don't get paid for it. This is all volunteer.
Yeah.
And you have two other governors. So when I got into the governorship, Leonard Engelman was governor, and he then had timed out. So I ran for his chair and got it. And it was myself, Lois Burwell, and Kathy Blondell. So there's 2 makeup artists and 1 hair governor.
Yeah.
It was Kathy's last year. And it was a great experience, really great. And Kathy was the chair. So you have a chair, you have a vice chair, and then third governor. And I was the third governor at that point in my first term. And what you're responsible for, there's quite a lot of meetings you attend. Now is via Zoom, which has been wonderful because I can do it anywhere in the world. Yeah. All of us can. And you really help organize your branch, your meetings. We obviously just did our bake-off. Our makeup and hair bake-off, which took 3 days to shoot. So now the governors are myself. I'm the chair. Linda Flowers is our hair governor, and she's vice chair. And then there's Billy Corso, who's third governor, and he'll move to vice chair in the next year. So you rotate, which is great. So Linda will be the chair next year. So yeah, we had to organize the bake-off, and normally we would be doing an in-person bake-off, which we were hoping to do, but because the virus spiked, we weren't able to do an in-person.
And the bake-off is just for Academy members to watch, right?
Yes. Yeah. So what it is so we have numerous meetings through the year, and then we have an October and December meeting where we come up with the final short list. The 10 movies that are going to go to the bake-off. And the bake-off is like, you have a pie bake-off or what have you, or, a casserole bake-off. It kind of stems from that. You have the opportunity to have a 15-minute interview period with the people that have been chosen to be potential nominees on that ticket. And so that's what we did. So Linda, Billy, and myself interviewed all the artists for each of the 10 films individually, and we interviewed them per film. So we didn't interview them individually. We interviewed, like for Dune, it was Louvet, Ava, and Donald Moat, and then we'd interviewed them. So, but because everybody's all over the universe, and even Billy's in London shooting a movie, we had to coordinate all our time. So we did like one Sunday, and then we did a Saturday and a Sunday. They're very long days. It takes a lot, and we're very lucky. We have a liaison at the Academy. His name's Tom Moyer, and he's been with our branch for a long time, and we couldn't do it without him. I always say he's the 4th governor because he's invaluable to us and to the Academy, in my opinion. And anyhow, it's a lot of work. It's like I feel like I go to more meetings than I ever thought I would. And then on top of it, being on the Academy Museum board is also more meetings, and which is great. And like, I got to be very involved with the people at the Academy, with Bill Kramer, who's the director and president of the Academy, and all the people that work there and handle everything, and the curators. And it's been an amazing experience.
I've been seeing it on social media, and I'm yet to
it's wonderful.
To visit. I'm looking.
It's really, really great. And the cool thing about it is it's always going to be evolving. Like, it's not like it's a one-time thing. Like, oh well, yeah, I saw that exhibit.
Yeah.
The exhibits are going to change constantly, cool. and there's some amazing programs, and the film programs are out of this world. Like, I just got my book for what's February, March, and I'm already like, bought tickets for 300 films. So, I mean, to go see these movies projected where you're never, ever going to have the opportunity again is really something special. Wow. So, if any of your listeners live in LA or planning to come, you got to make sure, put it on your list to go to the Academy Museum on Wilshire. It is really a great celebration of film and filmmakers and artists.
It's overdue, isn't it? I mean, where is it?
It is. It's been, I mean, it's been wanting, they've been wanting to do it for decades, and really was brought to the forefront by our leadership at the Academy, like Don Hudson, and was very instrumental in helping it get to where it is today. And our president, David Rubin. And like I said, Bill Kramer was an added magnificent inspiration to bring to the table to help make this museum what it is today, which I'm super, super, super proud of. Yeah. But yeah, I love being an Academy member. I love being involved. I love my fellow makeup artists and hairstylists. But, as a governor too, it's been really fun to, Billy, myself, and Linda have really interfaced with other governors and other branches. Mm-hmm. And because this year was the first year the sound branch had a bake-off. And it was wonderful. And Linda and I attended it. That would happen to be in person, but recorded. The virtual recordings were projected at the Academy Theater, the Goldwyn. And we went to that to support our other governors. And it was really, really wonderful. And we've really made it a point to try to be involved with the other governors as you can. And I'll tell you, my first meeting, which was in person, 3 years ago, I walked into the boardroom, and I was trying to be so cool, but I was like losing my mind, because there's 3 governors for every branch. Yeah. And there are, my idols were in there. I'm looking around and I'm seeing, Richard Edlund, and I'm like, oh my God, if it wasn't for Richard Edlund, there'd be no Star Wars, and then I'd look over there and there's Alfred Molina, and I'm like, oh my God, I love Alfred Molina. He's so great. And, just everybody in that room, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, there's Steven Spielberg. Oh my God, if it wasn't for Steven Spielberg, all movies would suck, It's like, he was such a massive inspiration to me growing up. He still is. Yeah. His West Side Story is, I think, a wonderful movie, beautiful retelling. Yeah, no, it's hard for me to be such a fan and walk into the Board of Governors meetings and see who's in there. And I'm like, oh, Lord, But Lois Burwell really kind of redefined our branch and what it takes to be a governor, because she has such class and such presence and so professional and wonderful. So warm and caring. And she brought a different sensibility to our branch that I think was missing prior. And I really always channel her and think about her leadership, which is wonderful. And hopefully she'll be back someday to run as governor again. And I kind of scratch my head sometimes. We have a lot of members who don't participate, and, they get the honor of getting membership, and then you never see them again. They don't join the meetings. They don't, right. I don't know if they vote, but I'm just like, you got in. And people that I have sponsored who don't show up, and I get very disappointed by that. I'm like, wow, I really went to the mat for you, and you don't show up to the meeting, which I've never missed a meeting. Maybe I missed 1 or 2, but I got in 2009. I maybe missed 2 meetings since then.
Yeah. Do you think it'll go back to, like, once COVID kind of settles down, do you think you'll go back into in-person meetings?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And I'm hoping next year our bake-off will be in person. It should be. We were so close, and then this Omicron
Right.
raised its ugly head. And a lot of our members are older, and I think that we decided to
I'll just be smart.
Bill, Linda, and myself
Yeah.
made the conscious decision to not do in person,
Mm-hmm.
and we were going to save it for another event, hopefully
Yeah.
coming up soon.
And so once that bake-off happens and the members can view it,
Yes.
then they vote on their 5.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. So we do the bake off. It goes live, and you vote. The members of the makeup and hair branch vote, and those are the 5 films that will move forward to the Academy Awards.
Okay.
And then it's opened up to general membership. So then I think there's like 9 or 10,000 members now, and that virtual Bake Off will be trimmed down to the 5 films and put onto the screening site, the Academy screening room, and then everybody can watch it. That's a voting Academy member. So that the whole thing is it's about educating, because so many times there's obviously there's craft categories that people in our industry don't know anything about. Sound was one of them. That's why I think it's so important to have the sound branch Bake Off. I know a lot about sound because my dad was a sound engineer, but people are like, a sound, I don't know, I guess it sounded good. Yeah, I like that. Or, I've heard stories of members saying, when I get them doing makeup, I just ask my kids what movie they liked.
Right.
And I'm like, well, that's not the way to vote. The Academy has done a great job continuing the education of the members, the general membership members, in the branches they don't belong to. And it's been great. And I get a lot of feedback from people, be it actors, be it directors, be it production designers, like, oh my God, I learned so much. And now I can be educated in my vote. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think the sound branch does it. Yeah, VFX does it. Yeah. And we do it.
I mean, the thing is, you could watch a film and not even realize the makeup that's involved and get to the end of it and then watch the Bake Off and be like, oh, that was a makeup? Like that? Okay.
And listen, and sometimes, whenever we think of it, we think prosthetics or big makeup. It's not necessarily. I actually really gravitate to things that are, I don't want to say invisible, but are like, for instance, one of the films in the Bake Off was West Side Story. And I think the hair and makeup in that movie is exceptional. Judy Chin and Kay Giorgio were the department heads. And I think everything looks beautiful and feels real and doesn't look perfect. Like Kay purposely made sure hair wasn't looking like it was 100% sprayed down, like they were wearing helmets, and it was always perfect and there weren't flyaways, because that's not how it would be. Or, going back 2 years, like I loved the work Nikki Lederman and Kay Giorgio did for the Joker. And I would hear from people like, it's just a clown makeup. I'm like, no, it is not just a clown makeup.
You know what? I'll be honest. It wasn't until I went to the symposium that year. Every time I've gone and listened to them speak, that I'm just like, oh. And I mean, I work in this industry and I'm still like, oh, wow, so much more to it. I mean, there's always more to it than you think when you watch something. But a lot of the time also I'm watching the film and enjoying just the whole film, like as a whole, not just studying.
As you should be. I mean, that's what we should be going and watching a movie and going, oh my God, this is a good film, or this film really blows, or whatever. And then, it stays in your mind. I think, so you'll have to go to the symposium this year, and then you'll learn more about the 5 movies that are going to go to the Academy Awards.
Is it going to be an in-person thing, or is it?
We're trying to make that work. I think it will. So yes, I send annoying emails to the leadership of the Academy every week, like, hey, just want to talk about, hey, just wanted to say.
I mean, I'm going to say anyone that thinks that they can get to that each year should absolutely, like, I remember the first time going and I dragged my husband along, and every time I'll say, do you want to go? He's like, oh yeah. Like, and
it's
he has nothing to do with anything with hair and makeup, but he loves it.
I think it's important. It's a great event, and it's something Leonard Engelman started way back when, and we're trying to keep it alive. I mean, we didn't have the symposium last year because of COVID. There was just no way to do it, but I truly believe there's a way to do it.
Is it like the day or two, a week before?
It's the day before. It's the Saturday before the Academy Awards. So the Academy Awards are the 27th. So it would be, in theory, March 26th. Yeah. So I'm going to keep prodding the leadership and try to make it happen. So even if I have to do it in my backyard. And today at the backyard, we're having the symposium at my house. So I think said that too. Like, if I have to do it at my house, I'm going to do it at the house. Listen, I live a great life. I am really, really lucky, and I'm really honored, and I never take it for granted. And I wake up every morning and I go, thank you so much for everything I have.
Mm.
It just didn't come easy. I worked
No, I was going
really
to say,
hard.
you worked hard for it.
I worked hard. There's a lot of times I had no money. When Bob and Greg and I started K&B Effects, we had no money. We didn't make any money for 5 years, and we found ourselves. We had like a soda machine,
Yeah.
and we would break into it and take the money so we could go eat. We had an honor store, which we weren't very honorable about, and it's like a service that has like candy bars and potato chips. And Bob and I constantly tore it open and took the money to go buy something to eat.
Yeah.
We weren't very honorable. And then we'd write a check for like whatever, like here's a check for $50, it should cover it. And they'd always come up, they'd be like, you guys are short like $300. Like, really? That's how much we eat? All right. But we had no money, and it was a struggle, but yet we found a way, and kept moving forward and didn't give up, and believed in ourselves and believed in the people we brought in to work at K&B with us. And yeah, it's been a great life. When I decide to call it a day and just go, you know what, I think I'm done. I'm not going to look back or have regrets about anything. I'm going to remember how great it was and all the friends I had and all the great experiences I've had. And yeah, I won't be sad about it because I achieved everything I wanted to achieve. And I got to work with all the people that I really care about and love very much. And they'll always be great friends. So I think I've got a very full life, which is nice.
That's awesome. I hope more people can say that.
I hope so. Yeah.
Hey, now tell me.
Yes.
What one tool or product would you never want to be without, Howard?
Oh, let's see. Oh, that's a tough one. One tool or product. Well, I love my airbrush. I do a good combination of both, but I use the same type of airbrush, which is my Pache H, that I had ever since I was a kid. My mom bought me for my birthday. I think I was 12.
You mean the one?
No, not the one.
Oh,
I had the one.
Say, hang on
No. I had the one for forever until I just dropped it so many times it just stopped working.
Yeah.
But I did find every time I drop my airbrush, it works better and better, and I'm like, this is working great. I love my H airbrush. I know I've hired people who come with a case of airbrushes and there's like 300 different Iwatas and all this, and they don't know how to use one of them, but they have them all. And I'm like, well, why don't you just have a H, because that seems to be pretty good overall,
It's an all-rounder.
Yeah. And it's just what I prefer. It's like alien. Like, really? What about this is a $400 Iwata? I said, well, I kind of like my eBay $16 Pache H that Garrett Immel found for me. And there is a difference, actually. There's the new H's, which I don't like. And they have like a darker red handle. You have to go online like eBay or whatever, and it's like a cadmium red. It's a light red. Those are the ones. Those are the older ones, and they work differently. They're machined differently, and they work really, really well. And you can do great splatter with them, and But I like to do a combination of stuff. But anyhow, I love that airbrush.
That's it.
It's and I use all different products. I mean, I've been approached over and over again by companies like, would you exclusively use this? And I'm like, no, I can't, because I don't exclusively use anything. I'll use this
like
palette.
You're an artist. How do you ask?
I do. I just have all the shit on my table. I'm like, and then every time somebody will turn me on to something, like, Tammy's like, you should try this bass. It's, Armani bass. And I'm like, oh, I love that bass. Okay. And, but maybe I want to do this, and I use, Laura Mercier on this person, or I can't commit to one thing. It's like saying, I just use this shampoo only, Hask shampoo. It's all I use. But you don't, you mix it all up. But I would say, yes, my Pache H, old, probably made in the 70s, works absolutely wonderful. So yes.
Brilliant. I love it.
There you go.
And who would you like to hear on the podcast?
Oh, wow. Well, let's see. Who would I like to hear on the podcast? Know what? Have you talked to Nick Dudman?
No, but I've been trying.
Nick is like the busiest guy on earth.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm still trying.
Yeah, Nick is awesome. I love Nick Dudman. What a funny guy. What a great guy. What a brilliant artist. Here's a guy that spent 10 years of his life working on Harry Potter and just created so many magical things. And to me, Nick should be a household name. I would also say one of your fellow countrymen, Richard Taylor, who's also a very difficult guy to get a hold of at times. But Rich is pure brilliance. I was the very first makeup artist Richard ever met. I was over in New Zealand working on Hercules, the legendary journey.
Yeah.
And I met Rich, and we became fast friends.
What was he
And
doing then?
he was working on Hercules as well. They kind of split it up. So like K&B did a bunch of stuff, and then Rich did a couple things.
But what was he
And
doing?
what was he doing on that show?
Yeah.
There was a giant. They had this guy named George who was literally a giant. And Rich did a giant makeup on him. And then he did some miniatures. I remember he did like a sea serpent miniature.
Okay.
And some other stuff. And so it was Wayne Toth, Brian Ray, Bob Kurtzman, and myself. We became fast friends with Richard. And one weekend we went down to Wellington and we hung out with Richard, and we met his wife, Tanya. And we went to their teeny little shop, which was probably 1,500 square foot, that they shared with a guy who made like fake sheep to sell in like the stores. Like, when you go home, take a sheep home from New Zealand,
Oh, yeah.
And it was really strange. And Richard had all this cool stuff. And then that night we went over to some young filmmaker's house, some guy named Peter Jackson, and hung out with him and watched. I had brought with me a bootleg copy of Nightmare Before Christmas, and Pete and Rich had never seen it. So we watched it in Pete's house, and his house was covered in just toys.
Oh, I get it, yeah.
And I'm like, this guy is like, and I knew who Pete was because, Dead Alive and Meet the Feebles and all that stuff in his early movies. So it was really exciting for us to meet Pete. And then we just became friends. All of us became friends. And anytime I was in New Zealand, I was with Richard. And anytime Richard was in America, he stayed with us. He and Tanya would stay at our house. And there were parallels between us that we both started our companies at the same time. We both, loved this so much. I mean, Richard grew up on a farm in Wellington, or not in Wellington, in Auckland, outside of Auckland. And his father was an engineer for Air New Zealand, and his mother was a farmer and raised these cattle. And Richard was meant to be a engineer or a farmer. And, here's a guy who created an amazing world. And it was all from just doing it the Kiwi way, taking initiative, stepping up to the plate, having, number 9 fence wire?
Number 8, I think.
Number 8, sorry. Number 8 fence wire, and figuring it out. And Richard always impressed the shit out of me. And, we talk maybe once or twice a year just because he's so busy, but we always write letters to each other to check on each other. And we have children, at the same ages. And he's a great man and a great friend. And he has a true love for invention. It's that mind. It's that Kiwi mind that's always tinkering and reinventing the wheel and figuring out what the best way is to do it without knowing what you shouldn't be doing. I think that's actually one of Richard's greatest successes is he did things he had no idea he shouldn't be doing, and they worked wonderfully. The fact is he just jumped into the pond of Lord of the Rings is, monumental beyond words. And he always said, like, I'm a sheep farmer, mate.
Yeah. I think I was talking to Gino the other day, or the other week of the month, and he said something interesting that made me think, because they are so separated almost from the rest of they're down in New Zealand, it's so far away, and not having a lot of other people to bounce off, that they do really need to kind of think outside the box on their own a little bit more. So
yeah, and they've been very lucky about having somebody like Gino Acevedo working there, who's from the States and a very brilliant mind. When Richard was going to start Lord of the Rings, he called me and he's like, Howard, I have like 500 resumes. What do you think? And I said, I'm going to tell you who to hire. 3 people: Bill Hunt, Tammy Lane, Gino Acevedo. Yeah, and that's all you need to hire from America at this point. And he hired those 3.
Nice.
And those 3 did great work for Richard and were there. And Gino's still at Weta.
Yeah.
And it worked out really well. I said, you're going to get 1 million emails and letters from people wanting to work on Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, I just have these 3 people to recommend, and I just think they're the only people to hire.
Yeah.
And he did. And it worked out great. So, so yes, to answer your question, I would love to hear Nick Dudman or Richard Taylor would be wonderful.
I love it. Howard,
Yes.
this has been so amazing chatting with you.
Same here. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. It was really, really fun.
Of course, I was so excited that you said yes.
Of course. Yeah, no, actually, when I heard Tammy, I'm like, how come Jamie Lee didn't call me?
I was getting there.
Well, I said that to Tam. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm on Jamie Lee's Don't Pay No Mind list, huh? Whatever. Okay, great. Fine. Yeah, she talked to Marino, great.
Gotta give some other people a chance.
Oh, I know. Believe me, I think it's great. I love it. So yeah, no, they're all great. I've listened to a bunch of them, so it's always fun. It was funny listening to Tammy's, and because she's talking to you, I heard her New Zealand twang come out a couple times, which happens sometimes. If it's like through osmosis. If she's near somebody or talking to somebody who's Kiwi, she starts to get a couple twangs.
It's so funny. I didn't notice. I'll tell you what, though, when I was talking to Tammy, it was incredibly difficult because we had a huge delay when we were talking. Like, she was at her place at the lake, and I don't know Wi-Fi, and so I would say something and then there'd be like the silence, and then like, oh God.
Yeah, it's the worst. I think there's like a muskrat running on a cage that powers her internet there. It's the worst. I always like, listen, don't call me from the cabin. Go into town and then call me. I can't do this.
It's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Howard.
Thanks, Jamie. It was great.
For links to see more about our guests, go to our Instagram at The Last Looks Podcast or our website, thelastlookspodcast.com. If you want to keep up with new episodes being released, be sure to subscribe through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, YouTube, or any podcast streaming platform. And remember, if you're enjoying the show, share it. The Last Looks Podcast would like to thank Brett Stanley and Sabrina Castro. The song Fun Time by DJ Quads. Thanks for listening. Until next time.
That's a wrap, people.